Hi, this is Lucy, and this is Tuesday Talks at 3, coming all the way from your Clarity Coach. Welcome to the Balancing September series. This is episode 2, where we are focusing on relationships and entrepreneurship. This 4-part series explores ways to balance our daily obligations. Now, the episodes are 4, as I've mentioned. The first one we have already covered, and that was on personal and business. Under personal and business, we kind of got a framework to understand what it is we are going to be addressing when we are considering our daily obligations. Because when we just say we're looking for balance in life, we agreed that it is sought after, it has been debated so heavily. And the main question was, does work-life balance really exist? And I left that to you. From the tips that I had given to you, I left that to you to work around and figure it out. Find out what sits well with you, what works. Where is it that you can get this challenge? And this challenge that is going to test your comfort zone. And I do hope that some reflections came out of there, some introspection, and you were able to see it from different perspectives and decide which side of the fence you were seated on. For me, I say that there is work-life balance, and it is an ongoing journey. It is something that I am in a quest of daily. And the 3 things that we covered were prioritization. That was the kind of idea that you are able to know what you want, but now you're going and you're reshuffling this deck of cards and deciding this is what comes first, and then this is what comes next. With prioritization, it gives you a sense of order. You know in which way to go. And the tool there was efficient and productive to-do lists. Because we can create to-do lists, and I did share with you that I have enough to-do lists around my working station. I mean, they're all over the place. I've got some in front of me on the side. I am to-do list after to-do list, and after I've done that, another to-do list. But my to-do lists are intentionally productive. It is in my mind sorting out my thoughts and being intentional about them. And then the second one was communication, just communicating what your thoughts are to yourself and seeing how does that fit into the grander scheme of things, and also sharing with others, because for you to execute this, you're not an island, you're going to need others. The balance then came in self-care, because I am one of those people. I am a workaholic, I am a perfectionist. And there's a downside to that. The downside is you tend to forget yourself. And therefore, we've brought in the important aspect of self-care when it comes to this balance of our daily obligations. Remember to take care of yourself, whatever that means for you. If it means that you are purging yourself from all social media, that's what works for you. If it means you're going to take a walk, that's what works for you. In fact, that's what works for me. If it means that you are just going to take a nap every day at a specific time so that you can recharge. So yes, talking about recharging, it is you paying attention to what your body needs so that you can fill that cup of yours. A continuation from our last series in the month of August of Fill Your Cup series. Now, the second one that we're going to cover today is meaningful relationships. Again, I say, we are not an island. We are human beings. Therefore, we have connections, and it's something that we strive to work with. We find that when we are on our own, we seek these connections. We are now on social media. So even if I choose to be on my own, I'm still connected to the outside world on social media. We're going to cover a bit more of that as we go along. The third session is on navigating conflict. Again, because we exist with one another, we definitely are going to encounter conflict, whether we are the ones who are starting the conflict and having it imparting it on people, or whether we are the recipients of conflict. Whatever it is, conflict does exist in our lives. And there we're looking at resolution, we're looking at the management of and the work environment so that we can find that balance. How do we find a balance when we are navigating conflict? Do we agree to disagree? we'll be talking about that in our next session. And we crown the month of Balancing September series with fostering empowerment. What does that mean? Now that you've built this magic formula of your authenticity and how you wish to be able to balance your life, what then do you do as a result of that? How then do you move on? What kind of legacy would you be leaving? And there we would be covering things like collaboration, mentorship, that ecosystem. It's so important that you have it. Lovely to see you there, Beatrice. Now in this episode, we are exploring, and this is the episode of meaningful relationships, just managing your liaisons. And I'd like us to have a deep conversation here. So basically, we're exploring the art of building meaningful liaisons in business and life, and how it can enhance both our personal and our business and our personal life. So I do have a question for you. And the question here is, how have you connected authentically with people? If you could share with us here, then we will be able to sample some of your answers. And let's just see how similar or how different, how varied are the ways or the techniques that we all apply when it comes to just balancing meaningful liaisons, because this is part of our life. So we're going to go into 3 particular techniques that I have highlighted to help balance. Not a perfect balance, but have these relationships, build them, or create them, or just live with them, manage them. The first one is active listening. Now, meaningful relationships hinge on effective communication. And in my numerous years in management, I have found the art of active listening as very powerful. I came from a place where I was just a doer. So I was a follower, and therefore I was told what to do, and I did it. And whoever was telling me what to do was telling me according to my skills and my talent. That position that I was hired for, your job description or my job description was very clear. I did not have any KPIs per se at that time because I was lending into somebody else's KPI. So clearly that was my supervisor. My supervisor had KPIs, and therefore he or she, whoever it was at that time, was leveraging on the team, and I was part of the team. And therefore I was asked to do my particular tasks, and I did them. So there was not really much of active listening. It was receiving instructions and working on those instructions, completing a task, and moving on to the next. I then grew into management and then finally into directorship. And the shift happened. I realized that now I was the one who was extending these tasks. I was the one who had to understand the vision and the mission of whatever place or platform I was in. And then it was my part to communicate to my direct reports to get this done so that the KPIs could be met. And if you are an entrepreneur or you're in the corporate world, you understand where I'm going with this. So indeed, meaningful relationships hinge on effective communication. I had to listen. So being clear in communication does go a long way in completing that loop. See, only when you have received a form of acknowledgement. Now, in my case, when I was a direct report, the fact that I would deliver a project well done concluded that my boss, my supervisor, had communicated effectively to me, had given me the tools that I needed to do the job well, or to carry out the task to fruition. However, at times, we are so impatient that we don't wait for that loop to happen. And we only have ourselves to blame when we end up in a scenario or a case or an environment where what we thought we wanted is not what we got in the end. And of course, asking questions then becomes something that we have to do. We need to ask questions. Do you understand where we're at? Do you have any questions? Do you need some clarity? Active listening suggests that you are reading the room, so to speak. It's as though you are understanding what is going on in the room. And that is the room. By the room, I mean the environment that you're in. So if you're speaking to one person, you're watching them and you're seeing their body language. I mean, you know that in communication, 55% of communication is demonstrated through the body language. This is now the non-verbals. So you can see by the way the person is receiving the information. Are they understanding? What kind of look are they giving you? Is it their eyes? Are they nodding? Are they leaning close to listen to you? Are they asking the questions? These are the things that active listening allows you to engage with. Now, when you get into that situation where you are the one who is communicating something to be done, active listening is important. So you're not only listening for the words, or you're not only listening for the tone, you are listening to that non-verbal cue. Active listening is powerful. But many a times, and you will agree with me, we listen so that we can answer. Many a times. Like for now, I'm asking you a question. How have you connected authentically with people? That is the question that I'm asking today. So you need to stop and just reflect. Am I listening to Lucy, to this Tuesday Talks at 3, to this session, to respond, or am I listening to understand? Now, this is where the magic happens. When you listen to understand, you're taking in more. You're taking in the words, you're taking in the tone, the language, you're taking in the non-verbal cues. It lands with you in a different way. And this is how we manage relationships. Just think about the last conversation you just had before you got onto this call. In that, were you building a relationship? Were you maintaining a relationship? Were you creating a relationship? Maybe you walked into a situation where you're the one who was creating the icebreaker. I have recently traveled and I met people from a totally different culture. And I found that the icebreaker of starting a conversation was one way that I used as a technique to create and build relationships. And as we speak now, barely 2 days after I have left that country, I'm already communicating with new contacts. Active listening. What is it that they are looking for? If you're in entrepreneurship, you will understand the running of business. By the time you're creating a business, it is not you creating the business because you feel that people want that service. You're starting from understanding the need, and then you respond to this need. Many businesses collapse, especially SMEs, because they have decided to copy and paste somebody else's business or decide for the audience what they want. Listen, active listening. How many times have you had an experience perhaps in a restaurant when you've asked something specific, but then the waiter brings you something else? They're not listening to you. So this is how we build, we create, and we maintain relationships. You want to be able to listen, to communicate, and you want to ask questions. Incidentally, if 55% is body language, then 7% is the words. So the words do help, but it's the body language. Are you open to receive people, or are you closed? Some very small, subtle things you need to pay attention to. So I do hope I can hear from you. The question today is, how have you connected authentically with people? What is it for you? Well, that is active listening. The other one is relationship building. And this is where the cliche comes in. Your networks are your net worth. But when we say that, it suggests that you need to have a network. So let us explore for a moment what having a network means. It suggests that you have the power to choose the people who are in your network. The people who are in your village, the people who are in your community, the people who surround you. You have the power to do this, but many a times we give up this power. We give it to others to choose to come within our inner circle. It's so powerful if you just took a moment and decided how many people you want in your inner circle and who are these people that you want, without any obligation. without any obligation of saying my family has got to be part of it, my friend has got to be part of it, my boss has got to be part of it, without any obligation. Just take a moment and imagine, who would you want in your community, in your environment, in your village? Now, since you can choose who you want, you can also choose who you do not want. And you can weed them out. This is your life. You only have one chance. So in relationship building, you start by choosing who do you want in your circle. Now, these circles come in different variances. There's the inner circle, then builds out to the next circle and the next circle. You can have a wide circle, but let's just consider the one that is close to you, that impacts you. Who do you want there? What kind of person do you want to impact your life? Who do you want to impact? So it is reciprocity is what happens here. The usual places we go to when we ask about networking and working your net worth is industry events. Now, my background is hospitality, corporate, and every time we talked about networking, it was networking events. Where we went, we collected cards in those days. Today, we are collecting numbers on WhatsApp. We are connecting on social media immediately, and the conversation is continuing. And that actually protects us from the contacts being lost. Like I said, I've just traveled and I'm back and I'm already connecting with people whose numbers that I saved. Right there and then we exchanged numbers. That's powerful. But by the time I was doing that and sharing my number, I knew who I wanted in my circle. Therefore, you have to understand, what is your why? Why do you want people in your circle? What are you seeking in this season? Because when this season ends, you then choose other people for the next season. Some people will be constant and go through. The ones that come and go, I call them the Nelsons in our lives. Because there was a specific season that I was in that was really a heavy season for me. It was a season of loss. And in that season of loss, I had the Nelsons. In fact, he was a gentleman called Nelson who came into my life. And this was a fix-it person. He was able to sort me out in places where I couldn't even begin to think and figure out solutions. And therefore, I've written a piece in my blog, The Nelsons in Our Lives. And I purpose to be a Nelson in somebody else's life. Again, that's the connection that you can make, building relationships. Now, remember, outside the corporate gatherings, outside your family, outside your social platforms, you can also leverage from your daily connections. Think about the kiosk where you go to buy your loaf of bread in the morning, or when you're passing home and you buy some vegetables, or the eggs that run out. Think about the salon where you go to have your hair done, or have your nails done. Or if you're a gentleman, you're going to have your beard shaved or your hair shaved. Think about those connections, how you can leverage on them. Think about the taxi that you take. Maybe you have a specific taxi, you don't take Ubers. Think about those connections and how you can leverage on them. Think about your M-Pesa agent, that person that you trust so much to the point where they're not even asking you for your identity anymore, your identity card or papers, because you know each other. These are powerful networks. How can you leverage on them? Because this is your net worth. These are people that you would go to and say, I'm looking for, the other day, just as we came out of the cold season, I had my boots and the sole of my boots had come off. And this is what I did. I just asked the guy at the kiosk and he said, you want to speak to so-and-so. And his connection was so on point. My boots were fixed. On top of that, he figured out how to secure my boots. And most probably I'm not going to be wearing them for another year. But I used those connections. So what connections do you have that are low-hanging right next to you that you need to build? This art of relationship building also involves maintenance. How then do you maintain it? Again, I said I just traveled, so I've brought some keepsakes for people. These are relationships that I'm growing, people who've impacted my life. Even when I went out there, I met a general manager. He was one of my general managers around 15 years ago, and I carried him a gift. I am maintaining relationships in another country by those small things that we do. And we have reconnected after 15 years, and now we're already speaking. So what is one way that you have maintained your relationships? Maybe you want to be able to share it here. Hi, Daisy. Great to see you there. So what is it that you are able to do that helps you to build? The last technique that I have is emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence is powerful. It has 5 pillars. The first 3 pillars are all about self. It's about self-awareness. It's about management. It's about regulation and management. And then there's self-motivation. Those are the first 3. It's about self. The 4th one is about empathy. Yes, empathy for self, but empathy for others also. How you apply the wearing of somebody else's shoes or stepping into somebody else's situation and understanding. And this is where you get a balance. This is where the magic happens. When you are able to understand the balance of where somebody is coming from, you are able to grant them grace. You understand. Again, you're listening to understand, not listening to respond. You need patience so that you can extend this grace to them. Understanding somebody in that point of empathy grants you a foot through that door, because this person will go away remembering how you made them feel. You made them feel seen and heard and important. This is a balance that we need when it comes to just building connections, just managing our meaningful liaisons, making sure that we keep these connections going. The 5th one, again, is about others, and that is the social skills, which is people skills. How then do you communicate with people? How do you act around people? And since you are self-aware and you have managed to regulate how it is your thoughts go, preparing yourself in a certain way from that awareness into regulation, into motivation, that you are able to show up. And like we say, when you show up, you show out. So you have your best version foot forward, where people are able to connect with you authentically. When you go through emotional intelligence, you're able to understand who you are, why you are who you are, and how you will show up. So look up emotional intelligence if you've never heard of it. It is also known as EQ. You may ask me, Lucy, how does one recognize and regulate emotions? Well, I'll be covering this in a training that I am carrying out in this September, on the 21st. And this training is called Who Am I? And this training is all about core values, focusing on who you are, what makes you tick, what makes the world go around you in your mental state. So you want to be able to just find it here on IG where we are, there's information. And just in case you want to be able to register, jump onto one of my posts, especially the one that is the latest, and just put in I am in. And I will definitely send you information of how you could register, or you could go ahead and just go into the bio and click on the link there and register. The early bird ended yesterday. So now we are on to regular price, which is 700 shillings. It is a 2-part training. And so we're doing the first part on the 21st of September. The next one will be in October, and then we'll be giving certificates then. And we'll be sharing that on our social media. So today's question, hello, Paul, great to see you there. Today's question is, how have you connected authentically with people? And I guess I would be asking you, are you listening to people? Are you listening to understand? Perhaps that's what you're doing. If you're not listening to understand, you want to start listening to understand, because this is how you build meaningful liaisons. This is how people feel heard and seen, and people feel important. Remember, in Maya Angelou's words, and I cannot remember how she says it, it's how you make people feel. That is how they remember. They don't remember exactly what happened, but they remember the feeling. It's like if you treated them well, and that means you listened to them, you gave them a chance to express themselves, they then remember that lovely, gushy, warm feeling. If you treated them by walking all over them, having a narcissist behavior, then you find that this person remembers you for something terrible. And when they come in contact with you, they start wondering why they're pulling back. The mind, just like the internet, does not forget, how they felt at a certain time. Have you been empathetic with understanding people and showing compassion, granting people grace? You most probably want to be granted grace, but are you extending grace to others? Are you giving people that sense of patience? This is how we build relationships. My years in sales and marketing have shown me that people buy from people. So from a professional point, you may have a fantastic product or a service, but you need to apply this side of yours, which is active listening, which is communication, and which is emotional intelligence. This is what people will remember, and they will buy from you. They may end up not realizing why they're buying from you. Why are you buying from Lucy? I don't know, I guess. Yeah, I just wanted to buy from her. It is the way that you have made people feel, and this is the balance that we are talking about. So authentic connection is powerful. Now, by addressing these 3 points as we come to the end of our session today, active listening, addressing relationship building and maintaining relationships, and emotional intelligence, you can enhance your ability to build and maintain meaningful relationships in both your personal and professional lives. It actually moves from your personal into professional. You need to start with yourself. You need to fill up that cup. Ultimately, this contributes to your personal development and overall success. Because by the time you're getting that external success, it just makes so much sense when you had success within you first and then extending it. Then you're able to enjoy this success and make it sustainable. Many people lose that opportunity by seeking the external success without working on themselves first. And this is the magic when it comes to maintaining in business and entrepreneurship and personal relationships. So the 3 takeaways today is choose your network intentionally. Choose your network intentionally. Thank you so much, Daisy. Love that smile. Whatever it is that you need to be around you, choose it intentionally. This is your responsibility. Know your why is the second one. Why do you want certain people or certain situations within your environment? Know your why. What is the outcome? What are you seeking to achieve in this season? Because our seasons change. It's beautiful to be a human being. We evolve. And then last but not least is be authentic in your connections. Show up knowing who you are, because that is sustainable. I used to be told when we were in school that when you tell one lie, you need to tell another 7 lies to make up for that one lie. So you're always looking over your shoulder. Why not be authentic? Why not speak the truth of the moment? This is the season today. Tomorrow there's another season. So show up authentically. Well, there you have it. For you to be able to nurture a meaningful liaison is your responsibility. Creating, building, maintaining is your responsibility, not anybody else's. Remember, you have the power to choose who comes into your network so that they become your net worth. You also have the power to choose who do you remove. People who are hindering you, situations that are hindering you to your true potential. And I hope that these tips have helped you or will continue to help you, or you can help somebody else in this striving journey of balancing your professional and personal lives. Now, the recording of this session is going up immediately on my YouTube channel, which is LMC Consultancy. You want to go there, you want to subscribe, you want to hit the notification button. I would love for you to share with somebody that you know would benefit from this kind of information. I'd love for you to check out our courses on my website, which is lmcconsultancy.com, for more learnings. There's so much more over there. I've got courses for you that you can buy online, and you can easily pay with PayPal. Check out those courses and just come back to me and say, what else would you love to hear? I understand imposter syndrome is one thing people would like to hear more about, and I am creating a program around that. Now, our social media platforms have great tips on personal development and mental wellness. You want to be able to go there. So I have a few questions for you. Are you battling with mental well-being? Are you battling with decision making? You just can't seem to make these decisions. Are you battling with building healthy relationships? then you want to join the online training for millennials on the 21st of September. It's going to be all based all around core values so that we can know how to have this balance in life. Now, as I said, the early bird offer has ended just yesterday. So for now, find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, find us on LinkedIn, find us on TikTok as Lucy, your Clarity Coach. And there you have all the information on how to register. For more details on what the program is about, you want to find me on my social media platforms. So our next session is finding balance in conflict. That's going to be an interesting one. Finding balance in conflict. And I'd love to see you then. Let us help to build each other. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.